Good morning, everyone. I want to thank you all for joining us today for our training, which will be Introduction to VA and GSA Federal Supply Schedules. And today, our guest speaker, those of you that have joined us in the past have probably met Tariq Maraba. Tariq is the CEO of Rymys Technology Consultants that we've partnered up to bring you this information today. So without further ado, Tariq, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Thank you, Abron. Thank you so much for the introduction, and thank you everyone for joining us today. As Abron mentioned, we've partnered up to bring you training on doing business with the VA, but more so the federal government, and to really understand the foundation components that really help you do business with the entire government. But as far as the VA and the GSA are concerned, today's training is going to be on schedules. Want to jump in? There's a lot of information we're going to jump into. So I want to let me turn my video off. I'm not sure if you see that. Turn this off.
Now, Tariq, do you want
right now? So we're going to go through a lot.
Do you want me to open up? Do you want me to open up everyone's mics, or do you want me to unmute everyone?
I mean, I'd rather you keep them muted for now. You can unmute that. You know what? Unmute them on your end if you'd like, and then have everyone mute themselves so they can unmute themselves when we do questions.
Perfect. Okay, that is exactly what I'm doing right now. So everyone will be unmuted on my end, but you will be you'll have to mute yourself on your end. So that way, when you get ready to ask a question, you can, but we want to be respectful of everyone else to make sure that we keep any background noise out. All right, Tariq, they've all done that, so you're good to go.
Thank you so much, Abron. And again, thank you everyone for joining us. We have a lot of information today. The one thing I want to say real quick is that there's a handouts pane on your menu, your go-to webinar menu bar. And you should see some menu items with regards to audio and settings and things like that. But you should also see one that says handouts. If you click on the arrow to the right of the word, or to the left of the word handouts, you'll see the number 1, of course. But if you click on that arrow, it'll open up and you'll have a PDF. During today's session, you'll be able to, during the whole time, you'll be able to click on the PDF. It'll open up on your desktop and you'll be able to save it. It's today's presentation. So I wanted to let you guys know that. We're also recording and we'll send out thank you emails afterwards with copies of information, of course, and go from there. So you'll all have the information handy for future reference. The other thing I want to talk about real quick are the polls. So during today's presentation, we're going to have polling questions or little quick quiz questions based on the information presented. There's a lot of information with regards to GSA schedules or federal supply schedules. So in building the training, it was based on the mindset of the introduction, because there's so many moving parts. I could talk for days on federal supply schedules. So I want to give you the basic foundation of just the reference to them, how they are interchangeably defined, the new changes since 2020 with regards to GSA and the consolidation components, a lot of things. So we're going to go through some quick slides, try to breeze through the information. Please stop if you have any questions. We definitely want to touch upon it. The information is not presented to try to confuse you guys. It's just to give you the foundation of what's to come, because each section and each proponent of the schedules is even deeper and deeper and deeper and so forth. So you'll get that idea. But at least now you'll have a better understanding. So I want to say Happy New Year to everyone. Happy 2022, and I hope everything is going to go wonderful for you guys. Again, I want to thank Abron for believing in me with regards to my capabilities and my background, with regards to working with Abron to bring you training to the VA and for the GSA. And as far as myself, just so you have an idea of who I am, if you've not heard me before, for 6 years I had the honor of working with the Veterans Affairs small business office on the education and training team. So I was the lead analyst and the researcher and the trainer for the education and training team at the VA OSDBU, which is the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization. And it's OSDBU, or I call it the Small Business Office. And for 6 years, I was the lead trainer and analyst, and I was able to research the information, interview contracting officers, talk to schedule coordinators, talk to program directors, interview and get feedback and surveys, and put together trainings where I was able to train over 7,000 businesses in this process. So reviewing from capability statements, from the basics to the advanced components, and really listening and hearing and working with them. So I had that opportunity to do that from 2014 to 2019, and here we are today with regards to working with Abron, because I wanted to find a partnership to be able to bring this information from a different perspective, from a small business myself to you guys. So it wasn't easy. It was a lot of work in terms of really finding the right people and asking the right questions, understanding and hearing. So that's what we're bringing to you in terms of the training sessions. Thank you again, Abron, for believing in us and for allowing us to bring the trainings to the small business community. And of course, our mission is to be the one-stop consulting business, to be able to bring you those opportunities and services all in one to help create effective and efficient marketing strategies and pursuing opportunities with the federal government and the VA. So today we're going to talk about GSA federal supply schedules, VA federal supply schedules, getting on schedule, e-offer and e-mod. There's going to be some basic touch-ups on marketing. I know we had one of the attendees last week to ask about, hey, is there going to be parts of marketing? There's going to be some touch-ups on it and some understandings in terms of how it works with regards to, what the importance of marketing is and actual basic strategies that, oh, I didn't think of that. Oh my God, really? We can do that kind of aha moments kind of information. We're also going to talk about e-offer and e-mod, which are two proponents of entering contract information and modifying contract information. So by the end of today's training, you're going to understand the basics of federal supply schedules. You'll hear federal supply schedule, FSS, different components of that. Understand the difference between GSA schedules and Department of Veterans Affairs schedules. Understand the basic process for getting on schedule. Understand the importance of marketing your schedule. Understand the basic process of managing a schedule. And of course, the concept of never stop marketing your FSS, federal supply schedule. So let's dive right into schedules. So schedules can be known in many different ways. You may have heard of them. They may be scary names, little names, big names, whatever the case may be. You've heard of multiple award schedules, federal supply schedules, or just GSA schedule. It's a schedule. That's what it is. So it's one component. It's a long-term contract vehicle. Vehicles are the way the VA and the government place products on. With regards to vehicles, with regards to STARS and the different programs and the T4NG, for example, with the VA, these are vehicles that you have to be accepted on. So there's something you have to apply. You have to be awarded that type of contract vehicle to be on it. You have to have the right requirements to be part of it. And when you are, there are a variety of different contracts or different opportunities that are on different contracting vehicles. Schedule is a vehicle contracting component. And of course, the purpose of the contract is to provide federal, and now they're working with state and local opportunities and governments to be able to sell the same types of products and services to them. There was a lot of consolidation over the last couple of years, and COVID really ramped up that process to really make it even easier with regards to going through that process. So in 2020, they consolidated all the different schedules, and we're talking about GSA now, because when we get to the VA, it's a little bit different. I think everyone's going to understand why when we talk about the quick points. I wanted to point out that the multiple award schedule, the schedule, the GSA schedules were all consolidated into, there were like different schedules for different reasons, different services, different products, etc. So what they did is they consolidated with 12, and this is important, 12 large categories. So I wanted to just give you an idea of the different categories of these. Now, inside this component, of course, are the subcategories and the special item numbers, which are kind of like your product service codes. So these are very important to know in terms of that with regards to the schedule. So it's one schedule, but there's 12 different categories on that schedule. So we're talking about office management, information technology, professional services. I highlighted these because these are just specifics that go into like a lot of the majority of these types of products and services. So professional services is management, administration, support staff, those kinds of things. IT, of course, you all know IT, and office management. So then we go into, okay, let's look at office management a little bit deeper to give you an idea how it goes into the tree. So you're talking about audiovisual AV products, document services, mail management, office supplies, services, office services management, printing, and records management. Records management during my day at the VA was a huge undertaking by one of the companies because they really wanted to focus on the new development and purpose of records management, and FOIA and getting rid of very important information, PII, personal identifiable information like the Social Security card numbers and so forth. So patient records and stuff like that. So what they were trying to do is really hone in on what constitutes records management, what constitutes can you have access to it or not access to it? Does this mean records management if it's a copy of a document? So stuff like that. So this is the kind of thing that like in one of the categories. Again, we talked about 12 different categories in the one schedule. So IT, e-commerce, IT hardware, services, software solutions, training, telecommunications, and so forth. So let's take it a little farther. So when you go into what GSA will tell you, the buying component and so forth. So now you go into the IT component with regards to that. Streamlined procurement options for definite things and negotiated ceiling prices. So when you go into the IT component, you're going to see even further by IT services like database planning and so forth, through the health IT, you see the SIN number, the product service code, basically the service code. So that's how they're breaking down the numbers. And so this is information that when you're looking at your company and your products and your services, you have to identify in the same streamline. So they do give you those components and those elements and those step-by-step process in terms of that for schedules. So again, this is just the foundation components. The whole point of doing it this way was to really identify a more efficient way and to help tame the frustration, anxiety components that come into play with, why can't I get a schedule? Why is it taking so long? What am I doing wrong? This is, just too hard to get through and so forth. So they're really trying to go in that direction and make it easier. Seller resources, there's roadmaps, there's Fastlane. So there used to be rulings saying, okay, to get on schedule, you have to be in business for 2 years and over 25,000 in sales for those each year. So there's different variances now with regards to actually getting on schedule for even startups. So that's a big piece of it. Why is it highlighted? Companies with less than 2 years corporate experience can get on a contract now under mass IT large category. So they've opened up the door to say, okay, you don't have 2 years, but we're gonna, on a big contract, you'll probably come in as a sub to like another company and kind of work in that way. So they're really opening the door to try to give you that opportunity. So it's there. The key with schedules, and we'll get to just some more comments with regards to the marketing component and moving in that direction, is the marketing aspect. You'll hear that over and over in terms of the conversation. So offerings under the Mass IT are outlined. So there's different categories on SAM, and you can look at SAM in terms of that information. So now we're going to go into some polling questions like we had talked. I'm going to launch it on your screen. We're going to go through polling question, each one based on the information presented. And definitely tell us if the information is, let's see, here we go. So you're going to see it on your screen. Okay, of the following, which name can be used for a GSA schedule? And again, wanted to reference so you have an idea of the naming conventions used or names that are used to reference schedule, federal supply schedule, multiple award schedule, GSA schedule, just to try to give you an idea of when you hear it, what does it mean? Because believe it or not, that was one of the confusing elements. You know, is that a different schedule than that, or is that a different schedule than that? What's the difference of that and so forth? And I wanted to make sure you guys understood, like, hey, it's the same thing. It's just interchangeably used definition-wise based on who you're talking to. Because one of the biggest things I've noticed is that, you know, they'll assume that you'll know the reference of it. And sometimes people just have not heard the reference to it before. So that's the key element of that. Okay, so excellent on that. I'm gonna click and show you some answers. This is what you guys all, believe it or not, all said, all of the above. And you are all correct in terms of federal supply schedule, multiple award schedule, and GSA schedule. Definitely. A, B, and C, all of the above. Very good. Again, federal supply schedule, multiple award schedule, GSA schedule, it's all there. Going to go into another one because this is important too. Let me launch this one. Which three buckets are multiple award schedules organized into? And we talked about the three in terms of a large category, small category, and remember I mentioned the SIN. So we talked about the three, how they're categorized now. Okay, great. Let me pull that up. You all said E, A, C, and D. As you recall, we did talk about large category, you know, the basic category of IT, office management, etc. Small category, they don't go as far as making it that easy or that, you know, the opposite type of thing. It's a subcategory and then a special item number. So those are the three categories you all came out shining. So I'm really happy to say that, pleased that the information is very clear. And again, this is just basic information. There's a lot of information in terms of presenting federal supply schedules. And I think it's more conducive if the, you know, if there are sessions that are specific to like a specific area of them, like more focused in. So there's ways of doing, you know, 10 different trainings on just federal supply schedules alone to really go into the in-depth training and actually get a, you know, a feel of each element of it. So thank you so much for participating. It's very important that you definitely take the information and just process it. It'll help definitely when you're talking schedules more, or looking into schedules more, and really understanding and talking about it. and just wanting to get on it. Question is, you ask yourself, are schedules right for us? Are we right for schedules? Well, in my opinion, it won't hurt, because a lot of products, a lot of services are purchased through schedules. A lot of times companies will come to me and say, hey, Carl, we're talking to these people down in Texas, we're talking to these people at the VA, hospital, the doctors, or the cardiologists, the oncologists, etc. And they're really interested in our product, but they're just not buying. I said, well, they can't buy. They're not the ones who buy. They're the ones who perform the surgeries and the treatments to the patients. The buyers are the ones sitting in the offices, going through the meetings with the doctors and the buyers in terms of office management, and saying, hey, we need this because this helps us. Oh, and by the way, it's on schedule, and this is the price that it's already priced out, because when you do the prices, it's based on already a fixed price, or the lowest price possible, or a contract negotiated price, and there are tools in that sense. With regards to the VA, the GSA has approved a different structure in terms of schedules. So we learned that the GSA consolidated all their schedules into one schedule, into 12 categories. The VA, if you haven't experienced the VA schedule concept before, or looked into it, or understood why, there are 9 schedules that are managed by the VA, and those all reference medical anything medical, health related, etc. Because of course, the Veterans Health Administration is the biggest buyer and seller of medical supplies, medical needs, veteran needs, etc. So that's why they said, GSA said, you know what, VA, you manage those, because those are your babies. Those are your scheduled items that you guys buy. And if we need to buy, we can do multiple award, we can do multiple agency, we can do different vehicles for different contracting components of buying these types of products and services, but you guys manage the medical. And that's what VA did. So they were given the authority, under negotiated and approved authority by the government, the Congress, and the GSA. They said, okay, you guys manage. So when we talk about better VA first price schedules, a little more complicated, a little more interesting. With regards to what they work with, of course, medical equipment, medical supplies, pharmaceuticals, services, scheduled programs based on medical everything. So that's the key thing. They spend over 14, 15, 20 billion dollars in sales alone with regards to the healthcare requirements of the VA and other federal agencies. But because VA is the largest healthcare provider of the veteran community, of course, and the medical, the VHA, the VISNs, the hospitals, veteran hospitals, clinics, over 220 of them, and so forth. They're the ones who really focus on that. But over, $14 billion in sales is not bad. So you want to be selling to that environment. So the schedule will allow the buyers to buy, to hone in on over 1 million state-of-the-art commercial products and services. We mentioned this, FSS manages 9. I tried to make it as clear as possible. 9 award scheduled programs, services federal customers with access to over 1 million, and procurement donates over 1,700 contracts with nearly 14 billion in annual sales. But 9 award contracts. So I wanted to make note of these so you get an idea. So 65(1)B, drugs, pharmaceutical, hematology, rated type products, commodities. So you have the pharmaceutical component, you have the commodities component, and you have the services schedule. I had a lot of conversations with companies who are like, yeah, what can we offer? Services, they need doctors, they need this, they need that. Well, a lot of staffing companies, that's all they do is staff doctors, medical, personnel, nurses, RNs, nurse practitioners, and so forth, but also hospital administrators and technicians. So there's a lot of components there with regards to professional services, lab testing, analysis services, and so forth. So Each one of these schedules has a laundry list of other components of it. So it's not just, medical equipment and supplies, 65-2A. There's about maybe 500 different products or services equipment in there. X-ray machines, this machines. There's a lot of focus, of course, on dental equipment and supplies. And I'm sure everyone who's gone to the dentist has seen a dentist office with, a lot of equipment and a lot of supplies and a lot of, things, and so forth. So it's not just one thing, but this is the category component of what the schedule kind of the umbrella piece. So this is what you'll see. You'll see 9 different schedules in terms of understanding. The solicitation number, those, to give you an idea if this is something you look in with regards to SAM and going through that process, but you'll have an idea of what the solicitation number looks like. It's an RFP, it's a this, it's a that. It's going to come out that way in terms of pieces of that. And it's an ongoing process to sell. It's an ongoing situation. When we talk about the GSA and federal supply contracts, you may have heard the acronym or the word IDIQ, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contracts. VAFSS contracts are awarded to pre-approved vendors using full and open competition. So what does that mean? It means that set-asides, you've heard of set-asides, SD, VOSB, VOSB set-asides. Set-aside contracts only are for the small business certified companies with regards to those specific certifications. These are full and open competition. These are not set-aside opportunities or set-aside contracts. These are contracts for everyone. You just got to have the complete component of it with regards to that. When we talk about negotiates firm fixed price, you have an idea of firm fixed price, but let's talk about this concept, most favored customer pricing concept, including an option for economic adjustments. Now, wow, what does that mean? Negotiates firm fixed price based on a commercial most favored customer pricing concept. What is that? Well, I bet you I'm going to have some questions about IDIQ, pre-approved vendors, most favored customers. So let's talk about IDIQ. IDIQ contract provides an indefinite quantity of services for a fixed time. So I want this many, however many I'm going to order within a 5-year period or 2-year period, this is how much I'm going to pay under this situation. There may be adjustments to inflation or supply chain, costs, but those are all negotiated under that fixed price time. So that's an IDIQ type of contract. Talks about basic contract individual requirements. So you kind of go through that negotiation process, and they come out as task orders for services. So they talk about government places delivery orders for supplies or task orders for services. It's another way of saying products or services, products or services, products or services. Products and or services, there are 3 types of products that are purchased in the world. Product services are a combination of both. Most favored customer clause is a clause that talks about contractual arrangement between vendor and a customer that guarantees the customer the best price the vendor gives to anyone. So if that's the case, then that's what that clause means with regards to, hey, we're giving, this is the best price that we would give to anyone, the wholesale price, etc. So there's a lot that goes in to the pricing component of schedules with regards to that. So I just want you to make sure that you understand the definitions of these when you hear these components. And again, when we talk about indefinite, IDIQ, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contracts, when we talk about pre-approved vendors and full and open competition, when we talk about most favored customer clause, firm fixed pricing, that's where we go with schedules. These are things to be an understanding of, because only you know your product or your service well enough to know, okay, this is the pricing components, this is this. Now you're going to also ask yourself, where do I find pricing of what's already out there? And of course, there's going to always be competition based on information of that. One of the key components here I want to talk to you real quick about was the firm fixed price. And if you notice, there's a link that will take you to FAR Part 16202 with regards to firm fixed price and contract information. So a lot of the information, most of the information, if not all the information, is in the FAR with regards to these are the proponents of the schedule, the IDIQ type of contract type, contract-wise, how it's broken down, how it's manipulated. So in any conversation that we have, everything will revert back to the FAR or to the CFR or to the VAR. When it comes to the VA, the VAR, VAAR. So it's VA's acquisition regulations, VAAR, and those acquisition regulations are based off of the FAR, but they were altered in sections to accommodate the VA, and those sections were approved. So if you've ever taken a look at the FAR, you'll see where it says, in relation to the FAR, go see the FAR for this section, but in this section, we've been approved to rewrite it to cover this or highlight this type of thing. So there's a lot of foundation learning that's necessary to really understand, what they want, requirements, what they're thinking, and how you position your company. That takes time. When you get past that point, or when you get to a comfortable point, it's going to make going through this whole process much easier.
All right.
And it does. Yes, sir.
You had one question from Miss Adams, and she asked, can you explain how the GSA uses Amazon and other e-commerce platforms to fulfill their schedule?
That's a great question, and Miss Adams, if you can hold just like a little bit, I do talk about an example of how they reference Amazon and so forth, because there is conversation and moving forward to where even if you like buy certain things from Amazon, they're now starting to implement Amazon, and you can purchase schedule things. But there's a component, because we're going to talk about GSA Advantage and GSA eBuy.
Okay, and I'm
GSA
sorry.
Advantage and eBuy. Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, that's a great question.
No,
What's that?
That was Miss Lawson, not Mr. Adams. That was Miss Lawson, Yolanda Lawson.
Well, it's a great question by everyone who's asking great questions, and definitely we're going to touch upon that. Amazon is, I can say a little bit now, and then I'll probably repeat a little bit. Amazon is basically, everyone knows Amazon. It just flows off your tongue, and Amazon. I'm gonna, go buy it on Amazon or something like that. Amazon is a online e-commerce, like the IT that we talked about in the types of the schedule. So basically, they're starting to go through the process of being able to buy scheduled products through Amazon, but at the same time, the example the GSA gives is the GSA Advantage is like Amazon. And the GSA Advantage is the website, the e-commerce site where, again, you get approved product pricing, quantity, and dealing with those types of things. You have to know cost. You have to know, you're talking about product shipping and, the box size, the weight size, the dimensions, the how many quantities of your product can you fit in a box, and how many are in a 6, 12 case, those kinds of things. And that's the GSA Advantage. The eBuy is the purchase of services. So when we get to that, based on the question, we're going to get to some more information. That's a great question, because again, that's the kind of thinking in terms of really understanding, number one, where GSA and VA is going for purchases of product. Of course, you can't buy medical supplies on Amazon, but as far as like the basic, the basics, and they tell you what's on there. And when you go to GSA Advantage itself, you start, browsing, and you look for different categories. They have hundreds of thousands of products. I'm talking from, pillows to everything. And that's also, there's also a proponent to that. That's a good spinoff for next week. I'm sorry, the 15th of February, everyone. So GSA Advantage is for products like Amazon and so forth. For those of you who have a product like, products, for example, There is a whole new world in the government in terms of retail sales that no one really knows about. Now, is it kind of an expensive path to take? It's not really I mean, it depends on how you look at it and where your financial status is of the company and the growth. But with regards to the retail side, it doesn't adhere to the FAR, and it's basically selling retail products to like the different exchanges in the Army and the Navy and the Marine Corps, exchanges like on base, and the big like Walmarts or Costco's on base. They buy everything. It's just a matter of getting the product, getting the buyers to look at them just like you would at Costco or somewhere else, and then going through that process and so forth. There's different technology that they use, EDI, electronic data interchange. It's a way that the order processing talks to each other, talks to the vendor and supplier and so forth. So that's a training that we're going to do on the 15th with regards to February 15th with regards to federal retail sales. There's a lot with that as well. But GSA Advantage and GSA eBuy is not part of that retail component, but the retail side does have other avenues to not only sell to, Army, Air Force exchanges or Navy, etc., and Veteran Canteen. Veteran Canteen is separate. They have that, and they have the e-commerce. The Veteran Canteen service and the e-commerce component of the Veteran Canteen are two different elements. The two different companies that work together are separate in terms of receiving product and reviewing product and approving product, or placing it on hold or running a test and so forth. But each agency has its own brick and mortar component and online component. But that's a whole different concept of selling to the government. It's another pathway. Some of my clients, for example, we use both, because they're positioned to use both. And that's something that, with regards to the EDI compliance and being able to sell electronically, shipping, other components is, it opens you up to commercial retail as well. So there's foundation elements, and we go through that. But that's a great question in terms of Amazon. See, that one question opened up a pathway of different conversation based on just understanding the community. So it's a great question. Thank you, Abron, and thank you guys for the questions. Don't hesitate. I mean, one word in your question could trigger a conversation that just keeps going. So let's move on to getting on schedule. So we're going to talk briefly on this, and we want to talk about preparing. So again, we ask the question, is schedule right for me, for you, for us, etc.? Do the products or services we offer you fit under a VA schedule solicitation? Well, again, with the VA, you look at the VA projects, you look at the schedules, you look at which one is more in line with what you sell as a service or product. And again, you're looking here, you see the word sins, corresponding sins. So you see how everything works together in terms of terminology, the flow of things, what are they looking for? For many of you who have worked with the VBOC, with Abron's team, with regards to capability statement training, they'll talk about products, or they'll talk about the NACE codes and the product service codes. So the SIN code is similar to the service code. The PS code, the SIN number, that's the system identification number with regards to utilizing, categorizing the product. And that's important. So you got to know your SIN numbers. When you create your capability statement, so this is a backwards tip. So we're looking at this information saying, okay, SIN number, NACE code, SIN number, product service code. The coding could be different in some instances, because coding regulations said, okay, the supply identification number, it was a different number than the product service code. They change the numbers often every few years, and they're trying to consolidate where the number is the same number. So you want to definitely check those. Having those types of identification codes on your capability statement tells the contracting officer, tells the program manager, tells the program director, tells the government staff member who's asking for it in terms of wanting to know more about your company, that you know what you are talking about, and you are very familiar with a lot of the intricacies of doing business with the government. I promise you, every little element that shows them something different than the basics really helps you stand out. And that's a competitive advantage in today's government, buying and selling frenzy. And then the question comes, can we compete with current scheduled contractors? Of course you can. But that, Abron's heard me say this many times, and so many of you who have been part of previous ones, training sessions with us, do your homework. We talk about what does VA buy in Michigan. We had that a few weeks ago. And we talk about, about doing your homework, really understanding, the product services that are purchased in Michigan, in what city, Battle Creek, Detroit, different cities in terms of different areas, and Ann Arbor and so forth. So you want to really do your homework, and I can't emphasize enough that doing your homework, it relates to everything. Because that's what helps you identify and assess your competitive advantage, competition prior, and of course, competition before submitting a proposal. So we look at review current contractor prices. Okay, so here's the million-dollar question. Tarek, where do we know how much things are priced? Well, this is going to give you an idea. The VA has something called through the National Acquisition Center. It hasn't changed. It's still there. It still exists. Is it complicated? It's not easy, but at the same time, you just have to keep digging with regards to that. Acquisition Center, Contract Catalog Search Tool, CCST. I remember one time I was having a conversation with some colleagues, and I'm like, yeah, we'll just use the CCST. And they're like, what's that? I'm like, well, it's actually a contract tool that tells small businesses how much certain products are that VA is paying for that product. If it's already verified and already on there, that's where it is. We talked about the GSA Advantage, GSA eLibrary. There's an eLibrary also, eBuy. But the eLibrary of products and services and GSA Advantage. So you'll see what's already been approved for scheduled contract pricing. So if you see something on there already and you'd be like, they already have this type of product, but ours is better because it does this, this, and this, and we can sell for the same price. Okay, great. So then you start looking at different components. Well, what does pricing look like? What do these things look like? And again, you're not alone. There are people like me. There are people like, there's teams like Abron's, VBOC. This is stuff that's more detailed and more advanced in the sense of in-depth working with clients. That's what I do. And that's what we do in terms of working with you guys to help alleviate that time and that anxiety of, oh my God, is this the right thing and the wrong thing? But as far as the tools, 100%, you do it on your own. You go out there. After a year, you get frustrated, 6 months, and you're just wondering what's going on and this and this. But there are tools out there, and it takes time to utilize, takes time to learn. CCST is one of those tools for the VA. Contract Catalog Search Tool. What does it look like? Great question. So we're going to look at the CCST. Again, this is the basic. There's so much. I could drill down into this thing for an hour, 2 hours. And it's just a matter of going through different elements of this in terms of clicking and going through. Learning. If it's something that you want interested, give me a call. Talk to Abron, talk to the team. They'll reach out to me. You'll have my contact information. And really understand, hey, this is what we want to do. We want to go retail. We want to go this. We want to do that. And it's there. The opportunities are there for you. Is it easy? No. Is it time consuming? Yes. Is it something you can do on your own? If you're a team of 3 or 4 or 5 and you have enough people to do it, absolutely. If it's you and 2 other people and you've got 1,000,002 things on your desk, you don't need a third, then obviously that's where you need the most efficient, effective way to pursue. CCST is updated daily. Comprehensive online listing of the Department of VA's national acquisition active nationwide healthcare related contract vehicles. So this is what the system is. CCS allows users to browse everything currently awarded and available in the net contracting vehicles. See the contract vehicles, schedule. You'll find contract information, pricing, order information, even socioeconomic status. Who should use CST? Who should use the CCST? You should use it. Helps VA facilities and customers locate contract sources and mandatory contract information. So there's a lot of information in it. So you see locate vendors by socioeconomic factor, catalog search, search pharmaceuticals, search med surge, and so forth. Configured item prices. I'd like to say it's as straightforward as it comes, but you got to dig. So it's not as straightforward, but you dig. I want to show you just a little bit more of a breakdown. This is what you'll see. Contract number, contractor name, search, generic name. This is for pharmaceutical catalog search tool, okay? Depending on what you're searching for, the form changes. So just know that. But this is the idea of what you're gonna be presented when you go through that whole process. You're gonna be presented with this, do I click here? Okay, this is more like me, this is my company, product services, click here. Oh, wow, then I have to go here. What is this contract number? Do I have this information? Where do I get this information? I remember talking to to a company last year, a couple of them actually, and they're like, yeah, we have our NDC code and we put it in there. We're trying to get to the pharmaceuticals med surge component. We've talked to the director of pharmaceutical to get our product in there, to get our medicine in there, to even be part of the supply chain of that. You talk about AstraZeneca, you talk about McKesson and Johnson & Johnson and the big pharmaceutical companies that are also, providing the VA with the pharmaceuticals and the medicines that are needed. But as far as there are private companies out there that are doing tests and grants with the VA, the VHA that is, with regards to the National Health Institute. They're doing it in combination with the VA. So there's different areas of grant in terms of getting in the door to do this type of thing and to do testing. But as far as a full product, this is where you'll find it. And of course, they have to buy it from somebody. And that's the key. They have to buy it from somebody. So if you have that kind of thing, this is just one example of utilizing the tool for product pricing. And then we go into the question that was answered earlier, GSA Advantage versus GSA eBuy. And if you notice the third bullet under GSA Advantage, because it was mentioned head on, bullseye, compared to Amazon GSA Advantage. So if you do a Google search right now for GSA Advantage and you go to the GSA Advantage website, guess what? You're going to see a marketplace like a Amazon. Now there is talk, and I mentioned this earlier, there is talk of interchangeably connecting and working with to be able to buy these products from Amazon. So are they merging, or are they going to utilize that service? There's a possibility in the future. It hasn't been done so right now, but trying to identify ways of working together. One of the things that Amazon has done, I don't know if you guys have noticed this. I guess it should be just not a polling question, but just a quick question to everyone. Have you noticed when you're browsing for products or services in Amazon, it actually asks you in the component of, I guess it's are you a seller or a buyer? You can buy products. Okay, I got it. In the search component, when you're looking for products and you're looking for something, you just really go into Amazon and do the search. You just do a regular search. If you use the filters to the left, it says, okay, I want to filter by price. I want to filter by this, this, and this. You scroll down further down that filter, you'll notice socioeconomic status. They ask you if do you want to buy from a STDOSB, DOSB, women-owned small business, etc. But it'll give you that component. And they're now definitely helping and bringing on STDOSBs and SBA certified small businesses in terms of small disadvantaged business, 8A, Hub Zone, women-owned small business, STVOSB, VOSB, so forth. So they're really trying to go down that road as well in terms of bringing in the government certifications into Amazon itself. So again, there's conversation between GSA and Amazon, but they are two separate entities right now. And those are some of the key things. But let's talk about the reference point to GSA Advantage and eBuy. You guys have seen the slide. You guys have seen with regards to that. GSA Advantage is the e-commerce site that focuses on products, hairbrush, soles for shoes, supply, the product like dental things, toothbrush. I mean, I'm just throwing out examples, but those are products. IT services, SharePoint administration, Windows applications, Amazon server, etc. GSA eBuy is the RFQ platform that focuses on services. Just want to simplify. Those are the key. So it's just getting an understanding and searching. It's really understanding and searching and really going through that flow of being able to do it. Advantage e-commerce site, product based compared to Amazon. GSA eBuy, agencies and military buy, use worldwide. Best pricing and value, keeps you FAR compliant. So if you were to get GSA eBuy and get approved through that platform, it's similar to a schedule. It keeps you FAR compliant. So if you're approved, that's what it does. It gives you the best pricing and value to the customer, and it's people buy worldwide the services. The product is a bit different because again, there's a lot of MSDC documentation, product breakdown. There's a lot of red tape, paperwork, etc., that goes with product purchasing worldwide, depending on what it is, of course. Even if it's like a hair tonic for to help for diabetics type of thing, just throwing it out there. There's something called the documentation that requires the chemical breakdown and the analysis of the product and approval and so on and so forth, and every country has a different requirement, so what the formula could change from this country to that country. So that's why when they say eBuy, to give you the idea, it's a service that you purchase and it's purchased worldwide. So those are easier to work with, and they're also FAR compliant especially in the US. So that's a lot of conversation and points with the federal supplies in terms of GSA Advantage and GSA eBuy. But as you can see, we could continue talking about each element further and further and further. So a training could be just on GSA Advantage and eBuy alone, or CCST alone, because it's an in-depth understanding of these components. This training is an introduction. Okay? There's a lot of information in developing a training. A trainer like myself will ask myself, well, is this information? I can do this, I can do that. You can go so many different ways. In my experience working with the federal supply schedule teams, the team with the VA at the NAC, and just talking with them and understanding their trainings and understanding what they're trying to do, I learned that I want to give you enough, but not too much to confuse the situation. So here are the avenues: the introduction to schedules, the understanding of schedules, the different naming conventions, the categories, the SINs, the terminology. It's I won't say the boring stuff in the very beginning when you kind of understand the terminology of things and then you start getting into the nitty-gritty, but I want to combine a little bit of both to give you the understanding that it's a whole wide spectrum. So there's pieces. Once you start looking in one area, get to know it well. It's just like you as a business. Become an expert at one thing. Learn it, move on to the next thing, so you can put the two lessons together and say, okay, because it'll say, okay, just like this, you can use this. So it'll give you the examples of, it'll point you once you start. It's just a matter of the time and really going through that process. Because once you start down this path, it depends. Do you have the team to do it, or do you need help? Because it does take time. Question that Abraham and I kind of discussed early on was, how long will, when businesses ask you how long will it take to get a contract? And I talked to Abraham, it's like, sometimes I tell them, between 6 and 12 months. It depends on the situation, but mostly 2 years. Abraham goes, Tarek, you're a brave guy for saying that, because sometimes it takes 2 to 3 years. It does. It takes consistent, because number one, you don't have the experience today, but you have the experience a year from now. And then the experience from a year from now carries on to the second year. And just things, it's different variables. All companies want to hear you can get a contract in 6 months. If that was the case, the federal government would be inundated with nothing but contracts, and it would be an incredible scene with regards to that. We'd be spending not 14 billion, but 500 billion. But then again, you have a economic crisis because you have too much supply and the demand is not as high. So it's definitely a fluctuating component of supply and demand, and of course getting on contract and really focusing and being a part of that. So everything takes time, because they have to pick the right company, the best company, the competitive advantage, all those components that go into getting on and so forth. And of course, are you capable of getting on schedule? And that's a key thing too. So you have to be ready and certified and ready to go. That's big. Quiz time. So I'm going to pull up the poll here with regards to and these are going to be quick. We're going to fly through these now. Okay. So true or false, VA supply schedules have nothing to do with GSA schedules. I thought this was a nice one. Nothing to do, no common ground. It's not a trick question, but it's a very simple question if you think about it. No one wants to take a stab at the question. True or false? VA federal supply schedules have nothing to do with GSA schedules. That's more like it. Okay, a few more seconds, guys, and I'm gonna tap the close and share. Okay, I'm gonna close this and share it. So this is interesting. This tells me I got to change the question. I would love to hear, I'm not calling anybody out, so don't worry about it, but I would love to hear the perception of, in terms of the mindset of yes and no. True. Some of you went true, some of you went false. As you can see, it's a 50-50. VA federal supply schedules have nothing to do with GSA schedules. Well, first of all, VA federal supply schedules are GSA schedules. They're approved by the GSA. VA is approved and authorized by the GSA to manage those 9 schedules. I can understand that this is my bad with regards to the clarification of the question. I can understand where you see the GSA consolidating the schedule into 12 categories and then pushing out the 9 to the VA, separate ones, and say, okay, we're not going to consolidate these 9 into this multiple award schedule or this schedule and call it a category. We're going to let you take these 9 to your house and you manage them as you see fit. And we're going to buy product service from you when it comes to medical. So I can see how you can go either way with that. So technically, I will change the question. We'll keep it at that. I want to be more clear with the information I present and we present, so the understanding that you leave here with the knowledge that you didn't have yesterday. I will change this question. There's no right or right. You're both. I can see how you can say yes, they have nothing to do with GSA schedules, with the exception of they are schedules. So I'm going to change this question for next time. So thank you all for teaching me something. That's very important as well. I appreciate that. But in essence, in this situation, the answer is the way I perceived and thought it through was false VA federal supply schedules have everything to do with GSA schedules. But I'm going to change that because that's just the way it needs to be. Okay, there's another question coming. Okay, this should be easy. VA manages how many schedules? I mean, this one I made as big and bold as possible. All right, I'm going to close it out. I'm going to share with you how everyone answered. Everyone said 9. Well, I'm very happy to say that that's the correct answer, and I believe that I was very clear with the answer. So thank you for making me feel proud. I got it correct. All right, we're going to go to the next question. Do this. Okay, which databases are available to review current contractor pricing, terms, and conditions? And again, these tests, these questions, these components are part of the, help you refine the information presented, and just to acknowledge that, hey, we heard this term, we heard that term, we understand this, we understand that kind of thing. So definitely a great thing. Oh my God. I am so proud to say everyone voted this time. That's a great feeling. Okay, so let's go and share the answers. Okay, absolutely. CCST is a database you can use to find product information, pricing, terms and conditions, contract, etc. And we also talked about GSA and GSA Advantage with another question, another database used. Yes, that was another selection, GSA Advantage, with regards to that. GSA Advantage, we talked about quickly, the Amazon of products for the government, purchasing power. We did mention GSA eLibrary. eLibrary with regards to just the library of products and services. With regards to, again, we talked about database for pricing. eBuy is for selling services. It works a little bit different. As far as pricing, terms and conditions of contracts, this is what we're talking about, because the eBuy is for RFPs for services. GSA Advantage is the products where you get pricing and so forth. So there's a lot of confusion in its sense, but as far as the 3 databases, again, I tried to make it as simple as possible: CCST, GSA eLibrary, and GSA Advantage. I like everyone getting 100%. I like seeing 100% every time. But I can understand when someone chooses this or chooses that, because technically it's definitely one of the databases. There's no wrong about that. So you do have a piece of it, but I just want to reinforce that you have multiple options. Sometimes it's always good to look at the different databases, because sometimes a price is different in one than the other for some reason. And so it's good to question that. You look at different, value-added services or benefit or about a summary of the product, and maybe something's different, something like that. So you get to do a lot of, that's part of doing your homework. So the question, by the way, the answer is A, B, and C, CCST, eLibrary, and Advantage. But thank you definitely so much for, for putting your answer. Again, it's not about tripping you up and saying, hey, you did it wrong. No, 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 no. It's your understanding of the information to make sure that we're presenting it properly, clearly, and defining it so you understand, why this answer is better than this answer. Okay, so now we're gonna go a little faster here because I don't want to run out of time, and I want a few things to present with regards to information in 3 and 4. So if I blitz through this, guys, just a few more minutes, let's definitely get through this with regards to you're on a schedule, GSA, contract, and so forth. So let's talk about, learn about your contract. Okay, to succeed, you need to learn about your scheduled contract, its unique requirements, educate your sales department, get your marketing department involved, work with accounting, review your purchasing supplier diversity. What does that mean? Well, basically, know your product, know your service. And I always talk to my clients and talk to my companies about distribution or supplies, or what's your supply chain. In today's economy, especially today with supply chains breaking down, do you have a plan B and a plan C? What happens if they start ordering from you, the VA or the GSA, and the contractor, DOD needs product, they'll buy through the schedule, and you can't get it to them? Guess what? You didn't have a plan B, plan C, or plan D. And in today's economy and supply chain, craziness, chaos, you have to have those in place, no question. And that's the key. So you definitely have to learn your contract, learn about it, and really start planning your contingencies. Very big, big, big pluses. Ask yourself the following questions. Where are the government customers? This is for marketing. We talked about marketing the products. So now you can handle the diversity of the supply chain and so forth. Where are the government customers? What is a successful marketing strategy? How can companies partner with GSA in order to be a better provider to federal customers? What resources are available to help me become a successful marketer, and how can GSA help me? Well, they're helping you by making it easier to kind of go through the process. Like I said, it's not easy, but they're making it a little bit more efficient, making it a little bit more, I guess, less time consuming from going to multiple different places to one place, and to really understand, click on here, go here, learn this. Click on here, go here, learn this. But this is the concept of schedules. Get on one contract vehicle, and these are the 12 categories as opposed to 14 different contracts. They're like, oh yeah, we got to look for that contract, that contract. It's one contract. So in working with one contract, the good thing is you're going to learn that contract faster than 12 or 14 different other contracts. And you're going to learn the different components. You're going to say, hey, we can work with that company and do that piece, and really focus on this piece of the category or the SIN. So look at that. What resources are available to help me become a better marketer? And of course, how can GSA help me? Research before marketing. So this is one of those questions coming up. Which is better? Which is more important, research or marketing? I'll tell you right now, both of them are equally as important. Research potential customer spending habits and identify customers that have bought products and services similar to those you offer on a scheduled contract. You have to research who's buying, and you have to know who to market to. They're both equally as important. If you don't know who's buying and you just start marketing, you're blindly marketing. You have no idea who's buying and not. They're going to know when you're sending something to someone who has nothing to do with what you're selling. Be like, okay, yeah, okay, great. It's a blanket marketing, and they're not really targeting people. And then again, when you do, if you do your research, but you have no idea who to market to, then the research is good. But so you have GSA spending, you have scheduled sales. So this is something interesting. There's a tool out there called the Schedule Sales Query Plus. This allows you to find more about scheduled sales and sales that were conducted. So you find about what's being purchased and stuff. So there's multiple tools out there that provide you different elements of the same information. So that's why it's just good to get used to these resources. And they're out there. It's just you don't think about going after, you don't think about looking at it because you don't, it's a matter of time to really dig and find these things. And that's a big key piece of doing, schedule contracts. Like with anything, everything takes time, and sometimes we don't have enough of it. Marketing resources. We talked about GSA Advantage. I mean, I'm just repeating the components right in front of you because they're there. GSA Advantage is where agencies come to find potential sources. They look at these in there's different information available to each level of membership. eBuy, same thing with regards to services, is only available once. So there's a piece of the information that I wanted to highlight. This is the services focused portal that allows agencies to use post opportunities in the form of requests for information, RFIs, requests for quotations, RFQs, and requests for proposals, RFPs. It is only available once your catalog is approved and uploaded to GSA Advantage. So what does that mean? It's almost like a product is on GSA Advantage, but then there's another catalog that's available through eBuy for RFPs, RFQs, RFIs. It's a little confusing. This is more about get on the contract, get your product approved, and start becoming familiar with what's available. That's as simple as it can be, because it's easier to go through the flow rather than talk you through it, and you have to experience it. Again, we're here to help you. We're here available. There are experts and people who do these things. It all depends on what fits with you. Vendor Support Center, the marketing section, provides various resources. So there's different sources that you can look at. Interact, join the Interact group, which is just another marketing capability, a marketing source of a group that you can interchange with. So these are kind of like the 4 of the many recommended websites available to you to market services and awarded contracts. One of the big things that is always asked is, how do we market? And more so, not only how do we market, but is it okay to use the GSA logo? Let me answer that right now. Use the GSA logo when you're on schedule, contract number, schedule, etc. Use it. Government officials know what this logo is. They know what this means. They understand contract number, etc. Use it. Put it on your capability statement. Tell them that you're currently on a contract. So when you win, it's like you become a service disabled veteran-owned small business. So absolutely use the SDVOSB logo from VA to represent and reference that you are VA verified service disabled veteran small business. The VOSB logo, same thing. You use the logo to reference your VA verified veteran-owned small business. GSA schedule, you got a schedule. So this is, once you get on schedule, you mark it. And when they see this, they stop and look and say, okay, at least this gives you, say you send emails, okay, or a LinkedIn type of marketing component or something. Capability statements through a fax machine or an email to a contracting officer. They see GSA schedule logo, not even the words, just the logo. They know immediately that you give you another 10, 15 seconds look in terms of your company. Wow, you're on schedule. That's a great accomplishment. And what do you got? Well, let me give them a call and find out more. Then you got a contracting officer or a program director, a program manager, a buyer, or an influencer, procurement decision maker who's part of the influencing circle, saying, hey, I want to learn more about this component. That's important. Use the logo. Don't hesitate. Okay, questions? True or false? Market research and marketing your product are equally important. I gave you this answer, everyone. There's only one answer. I gave this to you. I read the question, and I told you. It's not a trick question, but the problem is with sometimes when I talk to businesses, they think one is this and one means this, but it's interchangeable. I'm not going to talk anymore because I'm going to give you the answer even more fully. But come on. This one is, I'm trying to emphasize the reality of doing your homework. It takes time. Okay, I'm going to close this out. Very simple. True, you got the question right. Super simple. They're equally important. No question about that. So let's go into eOffer, eMod. What does this mean? Okay, several years ago, GSA required you to have the authentication key USB type of access, security code, access to the systems. Now they don't. There were companies that you go get a token, plug in the USB. It works with Windows Security Zone, and it allowed you to get into the platform and allow to share with different resources. Now you don't need that security component, but it's still a secured websites, eOffer, eMod. What does that mean? Well, this is where you enter the application, enter the contract, invite experts, members of project team to be part of the eOffer, creating the offer, as it says, and eMod, modification of the offer. A tip I'm going to give you all, which again depends on how many products you have, you want to get on schedule, whether it's VA or GSA, is simple. Use one product, get on schedule, and then modify with additional products. The less products you put on, it's okay. You can have 3, 4, or 5. But if you're not clear on each one of them and so forth, and you're in a rush to get on a contract, the priority product that you want to get on contract with, use the one, get it on contract, and then modify later. It's a big piece. Prepare an offer, submit a modification. It's that simple. eOffer is a web-based portal. It's brand new. It's very sophisticated. They may have its quirks and so forth, but GSA is always working to improve on these things. And your feedback is very important. One thing I've learned is I work with the Federal Service Desk, FSD, quite often with regards to ad hoc searches and building things in SAM under data, because I love data. Data tells all. And they've been really cooperative and really responsive to, hey, I need this. Why isn't it doing this? Why did this break? Oh, we had an issue. To try it now. Did you do this? Oh, do this training. We just made some changes. Very helpful. Spend a lot of time with those guys. eOffer, eMod is a web-based portal that allows you to enter, schedule offers, schedule contract, and modification requests electronically, paper. VA still uses a little bit of paper with regards to that, but there's some interaction with regards to managing your schedule. Improves the proposal or modification process, introduces an easy-to-use portal. Talked about that, guides users through this each step by step in terms of the modification process, automates the submittal process, allows you to electronically sign the documents. That's an important improvement too. So that's a very good thing. Question? You guys have seen the question long enough. True or false? It is easier to manage scheduled contracts with eOffer and eMod. Logically, yeah. I mean, it's electronic. It's a new system. It's there for you guys to make life easy. Sometimes, there's a quirk, but that's what feedback is for. Submit customer support, and they are getting better. No question. It is easier to manage scheduled contracts with eOffer and eMod, absolutely. I am going to close this question. I'm going to give you the answer of all that you said. You all said, yes, it is. True. It is easier to manage schedule contracts with eOffer, eBond. How that works, everybody, is basically you go in, process, you invite someone like myself to join the team and help manage the schedule. Go through the process, go through the offer, submission, and it sounds very easy. You have to prepare the proposal, you have to look at the job costing, you have to look at the facts, you have to look at the homework, you have to look at the information, you have to write the offer, be specific, and include all the information based on the requirements, just like an RFP type of offer or an RFQ type of offer, and submit. And it takes weeks, months to get on, but you got to start process. When I work with clients, I work with multiple strategies because there's always multiple strategies available. You got to start with one and keep building on them. But it's easy to define the strategies based on the type of product or service or combination of both that you have. Okay, everybody, I do want to say and ask in a wrap up, hopefully you are all able to understand what a GSA FSS is, Federal Supply Schedule. FSS is the acronym they use. VA FSS is how they use that as well. Understand the difference between GSA schedules and Department of Veterans Affairs schedules. Understand the basic process for getting on a schedule. Understand the importance of marketing your schedule contract. Understand the basic process for managing a schedule, and understanding the concept of never stop marketing your FSS. And that's what we hope you achieved. Your feedback will let us know exactly what we missed and where we need to improve. Some useful links: Rymys website, doing business with VA reference guide and VA reference guide, procurement readiness reference guide. I love giving reference to these because it took me 6 months to write them, and a lot of research went into this with regards to the foundation of doing business with the VA. But even so, following this process and understanding what the contracting officers and the program directors are looking for there's a connection, but there's also a process. So I wrote these. I'm proud of them, the team and review process, but I started with scratch from nothing and really did the research to the point where I did it as a small business, because I was a subcontractor myself for small businesses. So I'm really proud of presenting these to you guys. It's a big thing. Some of the SBLs, small business liaisons, actually use the procurement readiness reference guide to really ensure you're capable of doing business with the VA or the VA when really you're presenting your company, capability statement, everything. And of course, learn more about VetBiz Central. VetBiz Central is the Veteran Business Outreach Center. They are a community of offices funded by the SBA for the importance of helping you succeed. And if there is an area that they need assistance with, they are not afraid to reach out to make sure they provide you guys with the proper sources, resources, and assistance and guidance and education and training and so forth. So reach out to VetBiz Central and ask the questions. I can't emphasize how important VetBiz Central is to the community and to the small business community, and especially in VetBiz Central with Abron and his team, Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. Let me reference a couple more things and just a couple quick questions. Next, we have February 15th, we have the introduction to federal retail sales. Last week we had what does VA buy in Michigan. Today we had introduction to federal supply schedules. February 15th, we have introduction to federal retail sales. That's going to be a doozy with regards to kind of taking over from GSA Advantage to Amazon to really going into the federal retail space. And as part of my research and creating those guides, that was an uncovered gem. Making phone calls and calling. I was calling everybody, asking them questions. What do you do? What does this do? How do businesses do business with you? And this. Oh, we don't adhere to FAR. We do it this way. We're like buyers at Costco. So it's like, okay, fantastic, great to hear. It's a whole different world. Next week is federal introduction to federal retail sales. On Tuesday, February 22nd, we're doing what VA buys in Ohio. You can attend any and all of these webinars because there's always new information. And even though we talk about, last week we talked about what VA buys in Michigan, we talk about what VA buys in Ohio. The concept is the same from wherever state a person is in. And if you missed what VA buys in Michigan and utilizing what VA buys in Ohio, it's similar steps to follow for that purpose of doing business in Michigan and of course Indiana. We have more trainings coming in March and April. We'll be posted and sending you more information about that as well. Look for emails, LinkedIn messages. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I highly request and suggest that you join my personal LinkedIn as well as the Rymys LinkedIn for the company, because I post events and I give updates and with regards to the events in Rymys, and of course partnerships with VetBiz Central and things that we're working on, projects. And you can also schedule a meeting to discuss any services with you guys. Abron, I'm going to open up for questions if you want to. I mean, I know you opened up everyone's microphone, so if they have any questions, I guess feel free, everybody, just to kind of open your mic and ask a question.
Yep, we have Lori Young. Lori, your mic is unmuted. Would you like to ask a question?
No, I apologize. I did not knowingly raise my hand. I do not have a question, but thank you so much for the information.
No problem. Thank you for joining us. Ms. Johnson, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. I don't have any questions either.
Thank you as well for joining. And Ms. Lawson. Oh, sorry about that, Ms. Lawson. I did have you muted. You're unmuted now.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate everything. This was really great. I do have a question. So the CCST is done via the VA and the other two are done via GSA for the research.
I'm really happy that you contract catalog search tool, which is through the VA's National Acquisition Center portal. Yes, that is something you can do research for products that are purchased by the VA. It gives you the ability to see pricing. You just kind of have to dig around, and when you do a search, you might get an error for the way you're searching. But the more searches you do, you'll get used to like what the answer, what the information it gives you, and the clarity of like, oh, I should use this number or that number type of thing, or this keyword, and just kind of keep going that way. But yeah, play around with it. It's a very useful tool, and it takes time to get used to, but it's a very useful tool in terms of searching for product and contract information.
Okay, great, perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate the training.
You're so welcome, and thank you everyone for joining.
I do have a question. I'm sorry.
No, go please.
So it's a two-part question. You mentioned using the GSA logo and also using the service disability veteran-owned business logo.
Absolutely.
So my question is, where do we get those logos from?
That's a great question. Some companies have tried to go online and just get them from the image library and in Google Images. But respectfully, the right way is you will be given those logos and access to those, get those logos, clean logos. From the VA, for example, if you go through the program and you have an SD, once you become a verified, VA verified, service disabled veteran-owned small business or veteran-owned small business, you have access to those logos for the VA, the SDVSB and the VOSB. Once you get on schedule with the GSA or VA, you will get access to the GSA logos, and you'll be able to use, freely to market. So it's just a matter of getting on schedule and getting access to the logo.
Okay, and then the second question is, how do we become VA verified for the SDVO SB?
Ms. Johnson, are you a VA, are you a veteran?
Correct.
Or is the company you're with a veteran? So you are a
Yes.
veteran. Thank you so much for your service. Thank you so much for your service. The VA, I mean, Aaron, you want to take this one? Or, I mean, this
I can.
basically the VA offers VetBiz.
And that was that Miss Lawson or Miss
No,
Johnson?
it's Riaja.
That was Ms. Johnson. Ms.
Okay.
Johnson is a veteran
Not a
and
problem.
wants to.
Yep. We can assist you with that. We work in conjunction with the local or with your local procurement technical assistance centers, and we can get you started with that as soon as you want.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Not a
Yeah,
problem.
so that's a very simple process. And once you get started, you'll be assigned a counselor. You'll be assigned someone to work with and get through that process.
Yep.
Ms. Johnson, are you also the owner of the company?
Yes, with partners.
So, okay, are you the majority owner, I guess, or is it, I guess, half or?
51%.
Okay, that's all you need. You can also consider SBA's Women-Owned Small Business Certification, not through the chamber, not through the county, but through the SBA. Why is that important? Takes a little bit of time, but there's a new portal in place for women-owned small businesses as well to get certified. That too is a very important certification with regards to the small business concerns. Because VA especially likes to do, I mean, when they have a combination of an SDVOSB or VOSB and a women-owned small business, it helps the VA ensure they hit their numbers and exceed their numbers for contracts awarded to both SDVOSBs, VOSBs, as well as women-owned small businesses, Hub Zone, et cetera. So you might want to consider the Small Business Administration's women-owned small business certification as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, and we can help you with that if you like. So if you haven't already, click on the arrow to the left of the word handouts and open up the PDF and save it on your desktop.
Done.
That's my contact information and everything, so you have access to that.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Any more questions? No, going once, going twice. Three times. I guess, thank you so much for joining. Again, we hope that the information was.
Oh, you broke up.
Very valuable to you.
Yep.
It was fast. It was a lot of
You're
information. A lot of information could have been presented or kept out or changed or didn't area what to look for. And as far as the, what's that?
You are breaking up very bad.
Yeah, it's been a really bad. Let me try to. I mean, it's just the internet. I guess I don't understand. We've had a lot of computer conversation. Can you hear me better?
Nope, you were totally gone for like 5 seconds. Now we can't
How about
hear
now?
you. Nope, didn't hear you any of that.
Do you hear me now?
I can hear
Do you
you
hear me
now.
now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Please tell me you can hear me now. Okay.
I
Okay.
can. Yep.
I'm sorry. Sometimes the internet just acts up. Again, I wanted to thank everyone for joining us and just letting them know that we know their time is valuable. We want to make sure that we offer them enough information that definitely is a return on their time, invested time, and definitely thank them for being available to us. And we hope that they continue to provide feedback and be a part of our ongoing trainings.
I agree. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Please be on the lookout for up and coming emails regarding our next training sessions. Until then, everyone, take care, and we'll be talking with you and seeing you soon. Have a good day.
Take care now. Bye-bye, everyone.